the bush. I've been a school teacher, of course, for a number of years. I've been a school principal for a number of years, and I've been a school district superintendent for a number of years also. And I've had the opportunity, sort of go in and out of education. I've run 5 different Native corporations over the time, not all at one time, but throughout the time. And I've worked in a number of areas, and I got asked if I would serve on the board of Highland uh, as a community member, actually initially. And one thing led to another, and I really loved the the concept behind Highland. I liked everything about it, and I've really enjoyed it. Of the boards and things I work with, this is one that I always feel good when we can meet together and talk about things, because I it's one of those situations where I can come away from it feeling good. Like, wow, we accomplished something, and we all work together. Imagine that. So that's been really good there. Thanks.
Thanks, Alex.
Mhm.
Annie.
Hello, my name is Annie, and I have been affiliated one way or another with Highland. I think like 7 years. I've had 3 children go through, and Highland, for me as a parent, Highland has been a lifesaver. From having students with confidence issues to learning disabilities to now my third child is giving me a run for my money. He's like taking over the world. Um, Highland is perfect for every single situation. I have really appreciated how Highland meets the student where the student is at and supports them with whatever they need. And finally, I'm in a place where I would like to give back. I'm currently the assistant city manager for Whittier, and so I do have experience with Robert's rules and how meetings are run and trying to push forward policies and ideas that would benefit Highland. I'm passionate about that after seeing my children go through, and I'm just so pleased that I was allowed this opportunity to participate and hopefully be an asset to the group. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Annie, and welcome to the board.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yep. It was a little blocky, but that's okay. It worked. Thank you. Oh,
Well, short, I'm a parent. My youngest daughter goes.
Okay.
Yeah, my youngest daughter.
Thank you. Thank you.
oops. Okay, it should work now.
Okay. So yeah, my youngest daughter goes to Highland, and when both my girls went to Rilke, I was for a year and a half a part of the APC of Rilke. So when the call came for more people who are interested, I thought that I've done this before, and as a parent, I feel that it's important to get involved and do what you can. My background in education is not local very much. I'm Swedish, so my schooling has been in the US only as a kindergartner and going to the university, but otherwise it's been Sweden, Denmark, Israel, Kenya, Soviet Union, Germany, and South Africa. So not had much American schooling from that perspective. So I'm learning all that now that I have my kids in school. But I've been many places. I've done a lot of things. I have also been a lecturer at the University of Washington, even though that's 30 years ago. So yeah, but otherwise I work for the Alaska court system in IT. I'm a manager, and I have now I'm having 15 people work for me, taking care of everything that is plugged into a wall, PCs, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So as a part of that, when we can later start integrating and having students come to the court system, it is my people who hold the tours, for example. So yeah, and I'm interested in all facets of this. Earlier years, I have been a Lego robotics participant as a coach. I'm not the best in administration, but I'm good at getting things done. That's in short me.
Fabulous. Thank you. And I want to give our new members a little extra time. You don't have to take extra time, Jim. No pressure. But Jim's next. And then once Jim shares with us, then we'll have Todd share, and then we'll go a little quicker through our returning board members. So Jim?
Okay, sure. Everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm Jim Doobie. This is my 22nd, I think maybe, year in public education. Actually started out with Laura back in the day. We were both going through the MAT program together at UAF to become teachers. And so I started my teaching career in Anderson with Denali Borough School District. And I was with Denali for 11 years. And the first couple of years, it was a very traditional model, but we were doing a lot of in-service and professional development towards becoming a standards-based system. And so we spent a lot of time with folks from Chugach and other districts. In fact, went down to Whittier and saw the school when Doug was down there. So we made that change, and probably, gosh, I don't know if that was 2003 timeframe maybe. And Rebecca Middles was there with us at the time. I know she and Laura were kind of some of the early folks there at Highland. But those are some really good years with Denali Borough, and then went out to Bristol Bay in 2010, and I was a principal out there in Naknek for 5 years, and then transitioned over to Lake and Penn School District, and this is year 6 with Lake and Penn. Started out doing federal programs for a year, and was technology director for 3 years, and now I'm back in the principal seat. I live in Anchorage, but I'm an itinerant principal, so I have 4 sites: Igiugig, and then the 3 Chigniks, Chignik Bay, Lake and Lagoon. So during non-pandemic times, I fly out to my sites about once a month for 7 to 10 days and get a chance to visit with the kids and teachers. Otherwise, I'm working from home, and lots of Zoom, lots of telephone calls with parents. We do our LSAC meetings remotely. And I wanted to join the board, just kind of like others were saying, kind of to give back. I believe very strongly in the model. My kids are first year students here at Highland. I'm very excited to go back to school in person in the near future, hopefully.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Todd Birmingham.
Hey, Todd Birmingham. It's my 17th year as a teacher, a special ed teacher. I started out in Northern Michigan, moved up to Highland in 2009, taught for quite a few years there, and moved out to one of the neighborhood high schools for a few years, and came back last year to teach again at Highland. That's my experience. I kind of am approaching a period in my career where I'm looking at taking on some more leadership roles and potentially getting into administration. So joining a board and being part of organizations is an experience that will help me determine if administration is the direction I want to go, or if just being part of the team is the direction I want to go.
All right, thank you, Mr. Birmingham. Okay, next up we have Ms. Doherty.
Hi, I'm Kelly Doherty, and this is my 7th year teaching at Highland, which time has gone super fast. And I taught for 8 years in Shaktoolik, which was one of the first school districts for the entire district to go standards-based. So that's where I got involved with standards-based education and knew that that agreed with what I felt about students and schools. And so that's why when there was an opening at Highland, I jumped from West to Highland, and it's been great.
Thank you. Next up in my queue is Joey. Joey, take the mic. Tell us about yourself.
I am Joseph Winter. I got involved through Highland from a friend. I've been here for what is going on to be 3 years. Yeah, and I have some sort of idea of the education system. Both of my parents are teachers, so I've been introduced to all kinds of stuff.
All right, thanks, Joey. Next up, we have Brenda, and then we'll have Daryl introduce himself too.
Hi, my name is Brenda Bidwell, and my son has been going to Holland since 6th grade. This is our 7th year. I joined the board his first year at the school, and I'm also the only founding member left of the PTSO of the school. And we'll see, something tells me I may be sticking around even after he graduates this year.
All right, thanks, Brenda. Daryl?
Yeah, hi, thank you. Some great new board members, exciting. Sorry I was a little late. There's 3 APC meetings tonight. So I'm Daryl Vinsek. I'm the Director of Charter Schools with the Anchorage School District. Been with the district for a while, started as a special ed teacher, special ed director, principal for 18 years at Russian Jack, Bowman, and Huffman, and been serving in this capacity this is actually my 6th year. So I serve as the liaison between the charter school, the APC, the principal, and the Anchorage School District. So glad to see all the new members, and thanks for having me.
Daryl's a great resource. We're really lucky to have him. So thank you, Daryl. Ms. Cunningham is next.
Hi, Megan Cunningham. I've been a teacher for, I think 12 years, and I've only taught officially in a standards-based system. My student teaching year was in a traditional school, but that was it. So I really don't know what it's like out there in the outside world, and I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at. So I missed my first year, or going into my 2nd year on this board, and I just like to be involved with our school on a different level.
Great. And Laura Hilger's internet just crashed. She's going to try to get back in. She's troubleshooting that right now. But like Jim mentioned, Laura has been involved with Highland since the very beginning, and was the assistant principal before I was. And we taught together here at Highland before that. And she's been on the board for, gosh, 3 or 4 years. So she's been a board member for a while. So once she gets back on, she'll be leading us through our goal setting activity later this evening. So you'll all have a chance to hear from her. So thank you for those introductions. We'll go ahead and get started with the agenda. And Alex, I will turn it over to you.
Okay. The first item on the agenda is determination of a quorum and a call to order. And it appears like we do have a quorum from the people I can see and the ones I can hear. So we'll call the meeting to order. And who's taking the notes? Secretary right now.
That would be Ms. Secretary, Ms. Cunningham.
Okay, she's got that. Okay, going on. So the meeting is now officially in order. So we'll move on to the next item is the motion to approve the agenda. Hope everyone's had an opportunity to at least look at the agenda. Hopefully you've seen the agenda there. And do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, Brenda, do we have a second to the motion?
I second it.
Second? Any discussion? Here none, we'll move then to, oh, there, that's even better. Suddenly my computer changed its layout so I can see everybody now.
Yep, I'm about to take that away though, so that I can project the minutes so that everyone can see
Okay.
the minutes from.
All right. Okay,
let's see.
we need to vote on the motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Those opposed say
Aye.
nay.
Aye.
Okay, I heard no naysayers, so we've got an agenda now. And next we'll move to item number 3, approval of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Huh? No,
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, good job.
I've been
Okay.
doing this too long, Alex, sorry.
Who was the second? I thought I heard a second there.
I'll second. Jim.
Jim, okay, we have a motion and a second on it. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it again. So we have minutes approved now. The item number 4 that we're coming to next is public comments, 2 minutes per participant. Do we have any public comments at this time? Okay, so we'll move on down then to item number 5, principals report.
All right. So here we go. I sent this out earlier today to all the board members. So hopefully you've had a chance to look at it. And if not, we will review that right now and you'll have a chance to ask questions. So I'm going to try to present this so that you only see my presenting screen. Hopefully it will work. Yay, did that work? Awesome. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is start off with School Startup Plan B. As many of you know, the Anchorage School District has released a reentry plan that is different than the initial reentry plan. That includes elementary starting back face-to-face 5 days a week at the beginning of second quarter. And it includes middle school starting up, I think 3 weeks later in mid-November for, again, 5 days a week. And there's been a shift in the indicators that are being used to determine the risk levels and also what's acceptable in terms of numbers of students and social distancing measures that can be taken to safely start school. So in looking, so then one more piece to that is the high school plan is to start up second semester. So that would be January 4th is the first day of second semester. So that's when high school will be starting back. Now, all of these start dates are based on a medium to high risk scenario. And we are still currently in a high risk scenario as far as I know. I haven't checked the 14-day average recently, but that is the primary indicator is the 14-day average for Anchorage. So that obviously, that primary indicator will determine whether or not we actually could go back on January 5th. But what I would like to propose is that we would start no sooner face-to-face than January 5th for a couple of reasons, and I will get to those in a minute. So that would be 5 days a week, 5.5 hours per day. That includes the quarter model. We'll continue with that all year so that the students will take 3 classes per quarter, and each class is worth half of a credit or a semester credit. Snack time will be built into the day and would happen during block 2. Lunch would be at 1 o'clock, and that is also our release time. So students could get lunch on campus, but then would have to leave campus to eat lunch. This would include desk dividers for our 12 classrooms, 6 tables each classroom. So we've got one prototype made up. They're quite expensive, but as you know, we have CARES Act funds for that. And so I'm looking now to see what the best practices are and what the recommendations are for desk dividers to see if we want to spend the rest of our CARES Act funds on those desk dividers. We're still working through the scenarios for passing periods, staggered release time, ensuring parent pickup, working on bathroom limitations in terms of number of students in the bathroom at a time. We are working on getting snack stations set up for each classroom and sanitizer stations both in and outside of each classroom. And then working on a plan for sanitizing those classrooms between, or disinfecting those classrooms between classes. We are going to continue with the stay at home if you can. And teachers have agreed to continue Zooming even when we're back face to face, to allow those students the opportunity who can stay at home and who are working efficiently at home to stay home. We recognize a lot of students just need to be back in school. So they certainly can come in if they need to or if they want to. So the big deviation here and the big question mark, I guess, is that we're a 6 through 12 school. So that includes middle school. But one of the reasons that I would like to follow the high school plan is that 4 of our 7 grade levels are high school. And we had talked about the possibility of maybe starting off with middle school and following the middle school plan just for our middle schoolers. But the way that we have our classes leveled and we're really teaching those levels, we might have 7th, 8th, 9th graders all in the same class. And so then, 2 of those grade level students would be face-to-face where the high school student wouldn't be face-to-face. So just by the way we do our levels, it makes the most sense for everyone to start at the same time. So something to think about there. I have pitched this idea or this proposal to our staff and would like to get, I guess at this point, I know it's a principal's report, so it's not really a time for discussion, but I would like to open this up for thoughts or feedback.
My question would be is after you discussed it with the teachers, what was the staff consensus? Do they all agree with the January 5th?
Well, we didn't actually vote on it. We talked about it yesterday in our staff meeting. There wasn't any pushback on that plan, but I will defer to Ms. Doherty, Ms. Cunningham, and Mr. Birmingham if you wanted to share how staff received that.
I think we were all in the same boat, like Ms. Johnson said. In my geometry class, I have 7th graders and I have 10th and 11th graders. So it would be pretty odd to start them at different times in different avenues. And I think starting all at once logistically would make sense. So I felt like we were all understanding that that seemed the most logical way to go. Although we do recognize that kids are anxious to get in the building. So are we.
I think given the fact that it's a standards-based system, it only makes sense. And to do it any other way would just be weird, because you're dealing with you're not dealing with a specific grade, you're dealing with specific standard sets. So I don't think anybody would expect different. So I think it's a fine plan.
Have you talked to parents or the family units for feedback on it?
We have not elicited feedback from families and students on this plan, no.
Mm-hmm. So I guess, because I know for a fact that my child is fine with the January, and he's probably going to be one of the ones who may or may not go in, but he only has one class that he's taking. So he's basically done. So I guess my question would be to the parents that are on the board of the younger students, how do y'all feel?
I was thinking it'd be great if we could start with the middle school time frame, but it's probably not an option since most of our students are high school level. I just know my kids are, well, I'm not sure if they're 100% anxious to go back, but I'm anxious for them to get back and start socializing and having all those experiences again, especially since we're so new to Highland.
Mhm.
I'm anxious for them to get in there and meet their teachers and experience all that. But I totally understand we probably have to wait until, because we are mainly high school, we'll probably have to wait. So one question I had though with this time frame, it says 5.5 hours a day. And Amy, did you say we school would be done at 1? So it'd be 7:30 to 1 would be the hours for school?
Well, actually it'd be 8 to 1 because lunch counts from 1 to 1:30. That's part of,
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay.
right.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I would like to mention that another idea came up today about during Q2, potentially having a sign up process for students who just need to be in school working, and maybe have like a set number of seats available each day where students can sign up for those seats and then come into school and work. So maybe not every day of the week, but maybe someone signs up for a Monday slot and a Wednesday slot, and then that's all they need, and that works for them. But just offering some sort of a face-to-face that they would just be in the commons, continuing to Zoom in with their teachers as though they were sitting in their living room or their kitchen, but really they're here in the commons. So that is an option, to do some sort of a face-to-face option, providing students the ability to come to school for a different setting.
I'm a little worried you guys can't hear me, but I'm going to try and share from my perspective with Liam. Liam, as an incoming freshman, is fine. He's doing fine with online learning. However, he did mention today that he has noticed that some of his friends seem to have given up. And I think that idea, Amy, that you just said about having that option to be able to go in, if you feel you need that motivation and that connection, would be very beneficial for the students who need that connection to go in.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. And we could hear you. That was fine. Any other comments?
Yeah, I would just say, and you're doing this, I'm sure, but I would, put on your staff and you and get a little input from the families. But if there's any way to do some innovative small start with the younger kiddos, even if it's 2 days a week, as you were saying, and if there's not a demand for it, if you get feedback that's, yeah, we understand and we can make it work, then cool. But if you have a population that's saying, yeah, we want in, including the staff, I don't know what would be best for everyone. I mean, it's inequitable no matter what. It's almost, for me, the flip side would be, why can't Highland start when middle school starts, ready or not, right? But just potentially because of the size and the creativity, you have a little more flexibility as opposed to a large school. But yeah, that's all I would say, is maybe just throw something out at families and see the pulse.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely do that. And I'll also speak to the middle school start date. And one of the things that I really feel strongly about is we've got these quarter classes where a semester's worth of content is being taught. And in the middle school startup plan, teachers and students will be teaching and learning through distance education for 3 weeks. which is a third of the quarter. And then to transition that to a 5-day face-to-face, it just seems really abrupt, and like it would be detrimental. Maybe detrimental is a harsh word, but I don't think that would have a great impact on student progress for second quarter. So, okay, well, thank you for that, and I'll definitely put something out tomorrow in the weekly to elicit feedback. Okay, so I wanted to give you an update on enrollment. As most of you or some of you remember from last year, the APC approved a projected number, 195. We started the year with 204, and that seemed, it was very exciting. We currently, however, are only at 173. So I ran some numbers, and we are just about the same amount of lower than projected as the district. So if you look at our percentages, we've got a slightly lower percentage than projected. Our OASIS count ends October 30th, and this is what our budget will be based on for this year. If we stay at 173, then we will owe some money back to the district, quite a bit of money. Now, I'd like you to know that the district is applying for a hold harmless request through the state because of the pandemic. And I've been told that if that request is granted, that would waterfall to Highland, so to charter schools. So that would continue to charter schools too. So it's a tricky time to recruit. I can show you where our students went. We had, of the 200, actually this is more than 204 students, because we had some known leavers that were not included in that number of 204. But we had 20 students leave to homeschool, that's out of district homeschool programs. We had 2 either move out of state or move out of the district, physically move. We have 1 who is pursuing a GED, and 4 who went to ASD schools of choice. I'm assuming their numbers dropped as well, and so the students that were on the wait list for those programs were able to get in. And then another 20 went to their neighborhood school. So that's a big hit for us. And like I was saying, it's a tough time for recruitment because of the state of the world, the state of the district, and the state of our school. So I wanted you to know about that, that situation with our enrollment. Questions about enrollment? Okay. All right, so going hand in hand with enrollment is our budget. We have not really touched our rollover funds in the past, really since I became principal. That money has rolled over, and a big part of that is because the PTSO has been so helpful and provided us all kinds of teaching supplies and learning supplies and microwaves and water coolers and all kinds of things that have kept us moving in the right direction. They just bought us all smart pens, and we're really excited about those. And so we're pretty well set in terms of teaching supplies, but we do have a little bit of fallback money, especially if that hold harmless request goes through. Staffing updates, our TA position filled, and we have Ms. Joan back. So we've got Ms. Joan and Ms. Michelle as our 2 TAs. Our counselor seat is still vacant. We have 1 person who reached out via email. They have not yet applied for the position, but they're interested in the position. The next bullet item there was the hold harmless request. So I'm not sure what the timeline is on that, but I hope to find out soon. And I'm anticipating a little bit of a budget surplus. We had budgeted for substitutes, and we will be using very few substitutes, at least this semester. I'm not sure about next semester, but so we should have some extra money there. Again, we're saving money by not having a counselor, although I wish we had one. And the PTSO and the CARES Act have really helped us get it started this year. So the last big item is these desk dividers. Ms. Crosby and I, like I said, we have a prototype. We sat down and tested it out. It's great for the students sitting across from one another because it makes it so they're not breathing on each other, but they only go to the end of the table, and your face is rarely over the end of the table, the edge of the table, right? So you're usually sitting back, and that doesn't offer any necessarily support for the two students sitting side by side or protection. So again, I'm looking to see what the recommendation is for desk dividers. They're quite expensive. It would be about $10,000 to get 72 of these made up. They're plexiglass dividers. They're like X's, and they've got notches in the middle, so they just nest into each other. So they're really easy to just set up or take down. And they would be easy to store if we needed to put them away until we need them again. So it's a nice design, and they're made here locally, so that's also nice. But before I make that decision to purchase all of those and have those made, I just want to make sure that we're using the most recent information and recommendations on social distancing in classrooms.
Amy, I don't know, you may consider, we do this at the federal building where I work at. In addition to the dividers for people that need them from the person on the other side of them, we've got a distance of 6 feet. And what we do to make up for that is, for example, I have my desk here. There's a table in between over here. And then my one of my assistants over on the next side, so that we're actually at 6 foot apart. And then next to her is her desk is another table, and the next person is 6 foot apart. I'm wondering if something like that, just throwing it out, may be helpful, but I don't know about the table. So if you can.
Yeah, it would be if we had desks, if we had desks, but all students sit at tables with only, there might be a couple of classrooms that have one desk or two desks for students to sit at. But most of our seating is these 3 by 6 foot tables that we use for our board meetings.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So the most recent recommendation from the CDC is the students should be 3 feet apart with masks. So we might be able to get a little more creative that way. But when Ms. Crosby and I sat next to each other, we realized that the only thing protecting us from one another at that point were our masks. The desk divider didn't do much for that.
And they don't have like a desk divider where it doesn't have to go all the way down, where the center one could go onto the desk between the two kids, where one would go between the two desks, where it can go to the floor, but then the one in between could just go to the table and not have to go all the way down, so it could still protect between the two kids. I know once you then have the desks beside each other, then you're running into that issue also.
Right.
And then the other thing I wanted to make sure you knew is if the CARES Act doesn't have enough money for you to do all of this, definitely the PTSO will take care of the rest.
Okay. Awesome. All right, so I'm still looking into that, and I will follow the recommendations, and I'm checking in with my colleagues, my charter school colleagues, and other schools to see what they're doing for their desk dividers. So I have not yet made that purchase. So that's a lot,
Sorry-
I know, but that's everything
Sorry
that
to
I've got.
interrupt one more time.
That's okay.
Something I saw on Facebook that we might be able to use is they had it where the plexiglass was three-sided and it sat on top of their desk. And I don't know if locally or anything, they're making anything like that, that we could do it. And it would, I guess it would be like the two outsides, the back piece, and then the centerpiece is between the kids. But then it just kind of sat on the desk and got secured onto the top of the desk.
Yeah, well, that's essentially what these are doing. We made them to match the dimensions of the table. So they go to each end of the table and they extend out. They're 24 inches tall. So they extend, past your head. It's just when you lean back in your chair, you're no longer in your divider section.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Or right,
that
if you're
makes
turned
sense.
this way to watch your teacher. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
Another
You're right. And you don't tend to stay inside like that. You're right. Okay.
Another thing to consider, don't want to keep beating the drum on it, but some people, even in our office, I know they have that plexiglass helmet or hat they wear.
Mhm.
It goes basically from ear to ear, and so
Mhm.
everything's in here. Within that, that's been approved for use. I mean, those types of things, I just throw it out as a possibility because leave it up to you to decide on what you want to do, though. But that's they're anywhere from free to 25 or 30 bucks a piece. But I don't know how the students would be about wearing those because you put them on, and then if for some reason you need to, you can flip it up and those type of things.
Yeah. Yep. And we actually have 24 of those. We've got one for each staff member. And then in the case of a student who is showing symptoms, then we've got a few extras for students to wear until they are able to be picked up.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Any more?
Nope.
Okay. We'll move on then to item number 6 here, meeting the mission of the charter. And under that, item A, bylaws, review and recommendations. And then under that is the officers' elections. Okay. So under first part of that, how did you want to go over the bylaws, review and recommendations?
I think we're just focusing on officer elections, Alex.
Okay.
Yeah, that's under
It's
that.
just the way to organize it. It's part of the bylaws.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in August, it's recommended that we hold our elections and then do our officer elections as well. But rather than do those both in the same meeting, in order to let all of our board members be present, we opted to move that to this month.
Did I just go back to Zoom or did everybody go back?
I stopped sharing my screen, so now we're all together.
Oh, because all I have on my Zoom is Zoom.
Oh. It might be your view might be hidden by your browser window.
Oh, let me see. Let me go back here.
We're all still here.
Yeah, we can see you. So your window's probably minimized or hidden.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, that's what the problem was. Okay.
Would it be helpful if I projected the agenda again?
No, I got the agenda right here. For us
Okay.
to go over. Okay. So then basically for the bylaws review, I guess I was thinking, Laura, are you going to go over that or am I going to go over the bylaws review?
Well, I'm doing the goal section. That's next. I think this section, it might behoove us, given that we have new members. I mean, the descriptions of the offices are in the bylaws, but we might want to say who is our current officer in each of those. Because for elections purposes, we would maybe want to know if that person is wanting to continue, in which case we wouldn't need to elect, but I will defer to you as far as the process goes.
Oh, okay, so I realized that when I came to the meeting, oh wait, I don't have a copy of the bylaws right here with me at the meeting location here.
Alex, I've got one. I've got mine open and I can read the duties of officers if you'd like.
Okay, that's what I needed. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So our chair currently is Alex, and it says in our bylaws, the chair will preside at all meetings of the APC. The duties of the officers will be such as usually imposed upon such officials of nonprofit organizations and are required by law and such as may be assigned to them by members of the board from time to time. It's a mouthful. Okay, so that is our board chair. The vice chair is John Trampush, and our vice chair will serve in the place of the chair if the chair is unable to serve or attend a meeting. The vice chair will perform such other duties as from time to time may be assigned by the APC. Our secretary is Megan Cunningham. The secretary will keep minutes of the meetings of the APC in computer files and/or one or more books provided for that purpose. The secretary will maintain an updated list of the mailing addresses, email addresses, and telephone numbers of each member of the APC. The secretary will perform other duties as from time to time may be assigned by the APC. A secretary designee may be assigned to assist the secretary. And finally, our treasurer is Brenda Bidwell. The treasurer will work with the principal to prepare, review, and present the annual budget and will ensure that it justly supports the mission and goals of the school. The treasurer will work with the principal to review all other budget items ensuing from grants, gifts, donations, and individual projects by staff and fundraising events. The treasurer will meet with the principal prior to each meeting to prepare updates.
Okay. So with that, thank you for doing that.
You bet.
I have these things in 3-ring binders, but I don't always have the 3-ring binders with me.
I hear you.
Okay, so now then what we will do is proceed with the elections of officers. What we've, of course, we got the president, the vice president, secretary, the treasurer, and all of those are open. I would like to start with the election of the president first, unless you want to go in other order, where someone would nominate someone for that, and a second, then someone may nominate someone else, and same procedure. And we could have multiple people that's running for it. Another thing I had not thought about until I thought about it a little earlier, but then I was like, how do we do it? In order to have the secret ballot, I wasn't quite sure how we're going to do that. And given this situation where you write it on a piece of paper and hand it to someone in say Amy or someone, they open it up and put it all down on who got the votes. So I'm not quite sure how we want to handle that, but yeah.
Point of order. Point of order. Yeah, I just wondering, in the bylaws, are there term limits to positions as well, or is that spoken to in your bylaws?
Annually.
Okay.
Yeah. Every year it's
No, I think he was asking if there's a term limit, whether you can serve more than one term in a row or whether
Right.
it's conceivable to be reelected to the same office.
I think it's how does that read, Amy? I think it's only twice you can serve in a row, I believe, right? Is that right?
I thought it was up to 3 years, but I will look.
Okay.
I have your bylaws. I was just curious. And then on your second point, Mr. Chair, a suggestion could be folks could text Amy since she's impartial if you want to do secret balloting.
Amy can also run a poll. Unless she
Oh.
shares those poll results are she only views on Zoom.
You're
Yep.
so techy.
Okay.
That's cunning.
Say what?
I said, that's cunning. That's a good
Yeah,
way.
that's I hadn't thought of it. See, I knew, I knew that if we throw it out to the floor, we can come up with some innovative ideas. That's good.
Yeah, so I will do that. Let's do this. Let's go through each of the seats available or each of the offices. And then if you'd like to nominate yourself or someone else, just let me know and I will add those to the poll. And then once all of the names have been shared for each of the open positions, then we can, I'll launch the poll and we can vote.
I'd like to nominate Alex to serve as chair again, if he's willing to.
Yeah, sure, sure.
And I want to just clarify, going back to that question, our bylaws are not specific about term limits in my recollection. It doesn't, not that it shouldn't, but it does not go into that detail.
Yes.
I second that.
Remember
I've just
specific
read
group.
through the bylaws and can't find anything limiting the term. You can theoretically be on one of these posts from start to finish.
Yeah.
Well, a prime example would be Alex and I. We've both been in our positions for 6, 7 years, something like that.
About
So
5.
yeah,
For the position, I've been on the board about 7 years.
that's true. Yes. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, about 5 years. So we've definitely done 2 back to back.
Okay, the floor still is open for other nominations.
Nothing wrong with self-nominating either, because basically that's just volunteering to do the work.
Right.
It's hard sometimes to volunteer somebody else for a job that entails works.
Yes.
Am I hearing your self-nomination, John?
No, I'm thinking about that because I don't want to be the vice chair this time, if at all possible, because of my precarious communications and just.
Okay, I'll take your name off of the poll then.
Okay. So now we're nominate for the vice chair? Or do you want to nominate, elect, nominate, vote, or do you want to nominate all at once? How do you want to do that?
I think we should
Nominate all at once.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, for the vice chair, do we have nominations on that? You can nominate yourself.
I will volunteer to vice chair.
We got a volunteer. All right, Laura. Okay, so we got Laura. It's still open. You can nominate yourself or someone else. Okay,
So
so
we would, nobody's gonna nominate John.
Yeah, John.
I think Brenda should nominate John.
Huh?
I'm just kidding.
I asked not to
I know.
be on it this time.
Okay. Okay, then the next position would be secretary. That's probably one of the most important positions because you would take care of all the notes and things and do a lot of work there in addition to, having the title of secretary. So the floor is open for nomination for the secretary, the APC secretary. You can self-nominate.
I definitely don't mind keeping it, but if somebody else wants it, that's fine too.
I would definitely second that motion. I think Megan's been doing a great job.
Okay, so let's move on to the treasurer, and this is the money person here. The floor is open for nominations for the treasurer.
And I'm the same as Megan. I can continue if nobody else wants to take over. My job is actually really easy. On this board, it's really easy.
You're doing good. Okay, we've got nominees for each of the positions here. So
Do
I
we
know,
need
I
a
know nobody,
poll? We've only got one for each one. Can't we just make a motion to approve, or do we actually have to?
No, that's what I was gonna say. We can make a, we can make a motion to approve the slot, since we only got one person and save time on it. To approve the slots for each of the position as nominated. Do we have a motion to that effect?
I move that we approve the entire slate of candidates willing to volunteer for these positions and accept them all at the same time.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Yes,
I
I
have a
second that.
Oh, okay. Okay, we have a second. Any discussion?
Thank you all.
Hearing none. All those in favor of the slate as it appears, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Okay, so the ayes have it. The slate as we have it there is, will continue in the position or as we've stated it here. Sorry, the frog is in my throat for some reason. Okay, let's move to item B then. Board evaluation goals and next steps. So at this point then, Laura, we'll throw it up to you, right?
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to share my desktop here in a minute, but before we get started, again, welcome new members. I think my internet was crashing during the introduction, so glad you're all here. And I'm Laura, and I sent out some homework. So before we start, I want to make sure, are there any clarifications, or did anyone have issues accessing the documents? Okay, so I'm looking at the clock, knowing that we want to talk a few minutes as far as calendaring at the end here to end, and not that we have an extreme stop time, but to keep this efficient. What the plan is for tonight is to determine the priorities based on the power voting. And if we need to, we can go into a 2-minute flash round of processing if you need it. And then from there, agree on those priorities, whether that's 2 goals, 3 goals, but as a board, what are the areas we're gonna focus on? And then we're gonna spend a few minutes, once we have that consensus, I was thinking we would break up into small groups. So we would go into breakout rooms, and tonight we're not gonna be making pretty goals and strategies and all of that. We're just gonna be kind of brainstorming like, okay, that's an area that we wanna focus on. What does this small group think might be a goal or 2, or maybe it's just a brainstorm of thinking. It can be very loose. Does that make sense? And then time permitted, maybe we come back, but we're all going to be operating on the same sheet. So we would be in breakout rooms, kind of brainstorming, collecting that. So thank goodness Megan doesn't have to be in 5 breakout rooms at one time. Thank you, Google. And then come back and we'll figure out the next phase of it. But tonight is really just narrow down and brainstorm. Questions about any of that? Fabulous. All right, so I'm going to share my desktop. And I'm going to go straight to the priorities document. It was asked that new members not feel the pressure of voting, right? Since they're just now getting here. But they had, as you saw on the homework, if you read the new member homework, maybe you didn't. They had homework to just get to know what we did, right? So what's been happening. And then veteran members, you were supposed to actually put marks in these boxes here. and you were allowed up to three votes. So one number symbol in up to three of the choices there. So you will see this was straight out of the narrative, right? It looks exactly like the same exact table. It's just a template for voting. And so you have section 1 has those choices there with the powers and the duties. And then you come down to part 2 and there are 3 choices, and you didn't have to put one in each. I mean, it's totally up to you where you put your votes. So my question for the crew before we go into discussion to narrow down, do you want 2 minutes to review this, or are you ready to discuss for narrowing down? Because if you look at the votes right now, we have a very clear answer as far as the power votes that are posted.
Laura, can you scroll down so I can see that other one with the 2 votes?
Is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. All right, so here's my question for the team. If we don't need any more time, then I'm going to present this option, and then I'm going to maybe do a round robin for anyone that wants to voice another idea or push back to make sure that everybody's had an opportunity to throw their 2 cents in. My suggestion based on this, and I don't know if everyone actually posted votes, but based on what this document says is that we would, I don't know why all those question marks are there. That's weird. My keyboard must have been like, woo. We would have a goal or 2 to be determined on that number 2 in part 1 around the academic operation and mission, and we would have a goal concerning how our committee protocols work. So if you have another idea, suggestion, or a pushback,
Do people want time to vote? Since I voted last week,
May I ask a
didn't change.
question?
okay, let's have Annie go first, and then Megan, I'll have you repeat. Sorry. Go ahead, Annie.
So my question is, why would we not focus on the areas that need improvement? I'm just curious as a new board member, why we wouldn't focus on bringing that up to satisfactory level.
Yeah, it's an awesome question. Any other board members want to take a crack at it?
I'm not sure we wouldn't want to focus on that. I have to say, I have too many email accounts, and unfortunately, my ASD account is the last one I go to. And, the stuff that goes to my johntrampish@gmail.com, I check every day, but ASD, I got to check more regularly because I didn't do the homework. And judging by the number of hash marks I see there, I think there's a few other people that haven't added their inputs yet. So,
yeah, that's okay. So to clarify, thanks, John. Annie, we had discussed based on our evaluation how in the narrative we did have a kind of a vibe of being satisfactory there, but also when we are thinking about our report outs and meetings, and all of these are very closely tied together, but how we do committees, we haven't done a lot of detailed discussion around the focus areas of the vision And are we aligned? Are we aligning our committee work to that? So you can kind of look at it like number 2 would connect with number 4 and number 4 would connect with number 2. But to your point, we did mention in the narrative both of those being a desire. The mission one and the one that John's, the one right below it that says needs improvement as an example. Yeah. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Megan.
I'm okay. I just was wondering if folks wanted to vote real quick because I noticed there weren't a lot of votes.
Yeah. So I'm feeling that too. I think I can put a timer on it and give everybody I don't know what, 2 minutes, so that if you did not vote, now's your 2-minute window to vote, and see if that helps with some clarity on what we should focus on. Is that okay?
If you wanted to as well, you could just type in what you'd like, where you'd like your hash mark to go in the chat box. And then we can just add that. That way you don't have to go search for the document if you don't already have it open.
Don't have it open. Very true.
I like that idea.
And I'll stop sharing. So I'm just going to time it real quick just to give everybody a minute or two, and then we'll come back together. So you're either
Actually,
you're chatting your vote, or you're on the document putting your hashtags.
Actually, can
Laura,
you
would
put
you
back
share
up
it again?
for those of us who can't get to it?
I do not know the document shared with me.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I noticed that you guys have Joey's ASDK12.net email address listed for him, which doesn't exist. That's what's on the board email. So that's my job, I guess, to keep updating the email lists. So yeah, Joey, let me update that.
Well, Joey,
We'll fix that, Joey.
He has a .org account because he's a board member.
Yeah.
And then he's got the .net account because he's a
I
student.
I don't receive the emails, but I do receive the documents. So I mean, if you share it, I can.
So he does have a .org account
because he's a board member.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check. One of them pushed back at me when I respond. I'll work on it.
Okay. Yeah. So your ASDK12.net account, Joey, is probably winter.joseph, but your ASD.org account is winter_Joey at ASDK12.org.
Okay.
Because there's another Joseph Winter in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Who happens to be your father. So I can help you with that, Joey. Make sure you can log into your email account.
So Joey, for the purposes of now, though, if you want to just chat your vote, I will insert it for you. Your votes.
Yeah, Amy, if you can help me that too, because I got a pushback that says Joey, winter_Joey at ASDK12.org does not exist.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks. I will look into that.
Obviously, once we're done with part 1, we'll need to see part 2 as well too, Laura, please.
Yep. So I'm going to go another minute. Any more chats or adding to the doc, and I will post those. You betcha.
Is that for Annie, Laura?
Yeah, I got it.
Perfect.
All right. Was that enough time?
Yep.
Woot woot. All right. So with that, I'm going to just refresh just in case. We will notice, and I'll scroll down here, that we now have a very different board. I mean, paper view of votes. That was the wrong word. Very different board. So we have 3 votes on number 4. We have 4 votes on number 7 of the first section. And then when we scroll down to part 2, we've got a strong opinion for number 3. So we didn't really designate for ourselves how many goals we wanted. And I don't know that we need to decide that now. But because you might be feeling, oh, 3 goals, that's overwhelming. So we could say we're going to go with the top winners, in which case we'd have 1 in each section. But are there any strong opinions against having 4, 7, and 3 as our priorities?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's a good
idea.
goal.
Okay. Knowing there's some connection there, right? I mean, it's not like they're going to be, and we'll work on all of that later, but
And those are the 3 we designated as needing improvement anyway.
that's right.
Mhm.
That is
Right.
totally right. So with that, awesome. With that, I'm going to just, I'm going to color code them so it's super obvious. What we're going to do now, and I'm looking at our time, we're not going to be in there very long. So it's probably going to be maybe a 5-minute or so breakout. We're going to split into 3 groups. Each group is going to focus on one of the priorities. And I am hoping that someone in each of the breakout rooms has access to this Google document, so that while your team is going, first thing you're going to do is designate a note taker. And the note taker is going to dump the important stuff in that last column that says ideas or drafts. Okay, so one more time, we're going to be in 3 different teams. You're going to designate a note taker. The note taker their job is going to be to go to this Google Doc and capture the key stuff that needs to be captured. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Capture the keys that need to be captured for as far as ideas that team has for that priority. And if you get so far as you write a draft goal statement, great. It could just be a list of ideas. Make sense? All right. I feel like we could just be randomly put in there just to save time. And maybe Amy, you're probably, I don't know if you were going to jump around. Maybe you could you know how to send out a breakout 1-minute warning.
Yep.
Give us 5 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
so I'll just do this randomly then. I'll try to make sure that everyone, or at least one person, has access.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay. Okay, here we go.
Because I was going to have each team talk, but just given time, I think we'll absorb. But what I'll do is keep the screen on these 2 for a minute, and then I'll scroll down so you can see the last one.
While people are reading, since it is like an official under the meeting of the mission of the charter for notes, are we at any point moving and seconding and voting on this?
Oh,
I don't know if that needs to happen at every mission of the charter thing. It usually does, but
you mean voting on that? Those were the three?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think we did that. I think we forgot, didn't we?
I just don't know exactly. I'm still learning on like what bullet points need an official motion and which ones don't. So I'm just letting you know it's under the section that generally has motions. But
Yes, it does. And I think we were making we were allowing the paper to kind of speak for us because there wasn't pushback. So we should make that official.
Yes.
So Alex, maybe lead us through a motion before we move on. Or should I just make it? You want me to make it?
Oh, there, I had to unmute myself.
Oh,
Okay, so, go ahead and make a motion then concerning that.
yeah, that these are our three priorities.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that these areas are our three top priorities. Do I have a second on it?
Second.
We have a second? Okay, discussion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then we'll vote. All those in favor of keeping these three as our top three priorities, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it again. So that these are our top three priorities.
Yay, thanks for that, Megan, for catching that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to page down so you can see kind of the bottom half of number 7. Great. There's some really cool ideas on here for family. This is the family one. And then the last one at the bottom is about our committee, essentially our protocols for how we report out. Yeah. All right. Was that enough time just for a quick scan?
It was enough time for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
So just one more time. And again, there'll be kind of a woohoo, hello, heads up. But between now and next meeting, feel free to add, some more thinking to those other areas that you didn't get time to look at tonight. Thank you. Appreciate that in advance. And I think that's it for goal setting for tonight.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
So I guess we need to go on to, under that, we had goals, retreat was the second thing, right?
Correct.
Right. So what did we decide? What do we want to discuss on that? Our
So-
retreat. We brought up several ideas, but in the
Yes.
past.
Yep. So I sent out a survey and it looks like 6 board members either received that or I'm not sure if everyone received it or not, but only 6 responded to that. It had questions about, I'm just trying to pull it up here so that you can see this. Let's see, just a minute. I can show you the results. Click, 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 it's coming. Okay, so some of the questions were if the retreat can be face-to-face, solely via Zoom, or an option to choose between the two. Most people prefer, or 4 people preferred a consecutive 2-day retreat. And looking at that, it looked like for most people, February was an ideal month. October is less than ideal. November might be okay, but December is definitely not a good month for that. And your answers might change as a result of the work that we just did with goal setting. So if you like to retake this, or if you haven't taken it yet and you'd like to take it, you certainly can do that. Half of the people said that weekends work better than weekdays, and most people said the only days that don't work are weekdays. So a lot of people said Friday, Saturday could work, or Saturday, Sunday could potentially work. So if you haven't taken this yet, I can add this here to the chat box, and you can take it now, or we certainly don't have to decide right now.
How often can we take it? Just kidding.
How often? If you've already taken it and you want to change your answers, that's okay. I can track who's doing it, I think. So
Go early and often.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do that right now, but
Yeah.
the sooner the better, and we can go from there. I also wanted you to know that Daryl is still working on getting the Open Meetings Act training, which everyone needs to attend so that we're all familiar with the Open Meetings Act. And then he's also working on the possibility of getting AJ Craybill up again. And I'm not sure yet what the status is for that, but that's a 2-day workshop that would essentially be our retreat, because he'd be guiding us through some similar goal setting procedures that we've just done. So that's optional. We don't have to do that. And then the last one is a Zoom session for Jurassic Parliament, which is supposed to be a really great training, and I have not done that one. So those are coming up as options.
Okay,
Alex.
so we'll hold off as far as making a final decision until later. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we need to decide on that now, but
Right.
yeah, the sooner we get people's information, the better.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I would maybe, depending on when our next meeting is, we might want to say we need to make that decision at
Yeah.
that one.
At the next meeting. And actually, that's the next item on the, and then what's a good date for our next meeting?
Yeah, so the reason this is on the agenda is because at our last meeting, a motion was presented to meet every month, and that was approved. And then after that, there was discussion about not meeting every month. And so the motion was approved to have a meeting every month. But it seemed unclear whether someone wanted to move to go back to every other month. We had talked about having them every month as needed. So that's why it's here, because I'm not sure if we want to meet next month or wait until November.
Right. My takeaway from it was, like, yeah, we discussed it about meeting every month, and people that seemed good, but it didn't necessarily have to be a formal meeting of this nature. It could be a training or something else that constituted a meeting, and maybe not everybody could go to it or was able to get going to it. I think that was what came up after we thought about it, because many of the folks in the past, it's hard to tie them down to a specific Thursday or Tuesday or some day of the week every month. I mean, even myself, I know I've got certain things, and it's every other month as far as really accomplishing things. But it's having something every month is good. The possibilities of it, anyway. I think that's where we kind of left off at it. Yeah.
Well, I think some of the thinking was we could have the date set every month, but if we didn't have to meet, we wouldn't. In our group also, we discussed the fact that if we have every other month is the main meeting, then those off months could be the committee meeting months.
Yeah.
So that then the committees, if we've got committees going, they could be meeting that off month instead of having to have 2 meetings in a month.
So we had a lot of time there, schedule wise, And if needed, we could use that one in between. Is that the way?
I have a
everyone-
point of clarification. Did
Yeah,
I hear Amy say that last time it was moved and approved and voted on, that the APC would meet every month?
right. That was initially the
so-
way we,
So are we talking about an amendment to that? Okay, so
Right.
then I move that we amend last month's decision to have APC meetings on a schedule every month. And then we
Okay.
can,
Thank
We
you,
got-
Todd. That's exactly what.
got a motion on the floor to amend the monthly meeting to, do we have a second?
Second,
We have a second. Do we have any more further discussion on it? Hearing none. All those in favor of amending the motion from last month?
hold, point of order, we don't have the amendment though.
Oh,
What is the
Yeah,
amendment going
what
to
are we
be?
amending? What are we saying?
I'm
How
sorry.
often are we meeting?
So I had heard in that previous discussion that Brenda's last proposal was that we leave it open the off month, that we meet every other month as a full APC. And in between, that there was flexibility for subcommittees to, at their convenience, schedule a subcommittee meeting.
Correct.
you're right. That's what.
So that's the amendment, that APC as a whole would meet every month. In between those those every other month meetings, every other month,
right.
that subcommittees would, at their convenience, schedule their meeting times.
Mhm.
I would also add that in rare circumstances when we don't get to everything on the agenda, that that is the reserved time for the next meeting would be the following month, rather than having to wait 2 months to get to that
Right.
next action item. So it might be a full board meeting, it might be committee meeting.
Doing
I
it
have a quick question. Sorry. I'm hearing talk about committees. How do we know what committee we're in? If we're in you?
Annie, we currently do not have any committees. We just had a lease committee, a building committee working on our sublease, but that has been signed and finalized. And so that committee is no longer meeting. So in the past, we've had marketing committees, and I think we had a student progress committee. at one
new school
facilities.
building.
Yeah, it just
Principal
depends on what's
hiring,
going on.
protocol committee.
Right, principal hiring.
It'll be tied to our goals, Annie. Once we know that, I would assume that next piece would be, do we need the committees? What would those be on? But right now we're kind of in between.
Yeah, so we don't currently have any standing committees.
Correct.
Okay, so as need be. Oh, okay. Megan, were you able to capture that?
Yes, I think this is what I have. I said, Todd moved to amend our monthly meeting schedule to meet every other month with off months available for subcommittee meetings, and Brenda seconded.
Okay, then it's Todd, that's your understanding as the maker of the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
While we're still in the discussion phase, I guess, I'm just wondering if the whole group isn't going to meet again for 2 months, that puts us into November. And I know that not everybody had a chance to fill that survey out yet, but I just feel like we're kind of losing a lot of time if we want to work on some of the goal setting and get some of these things done. Just time goes by so fast, and they're running the holidays, and it just seems like we're maybe want to build some momentum. I don't know if we want to meet sooner now that we've started to get some legwork going. But I'm the new guy, so I don't know. Just seems like a long time to wait to meet again.
I would
Is there
second
a
that, and
special
maybe,
meeting movement? Is there
Well,
a special meeting
yeah.
stipulation in the bylaws that a special meeting could be called?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be done at any time, a special meeting, yeah.
I was
Well,
gonna suggest a
well-
longer November meeting too, but I might be in the minority of that thinking.
A longer in the sense of like a day long, 2 day long, or just?
Well, I don't know if I was thinking retreat length, but you
Right,
know,
that's what-
something longer than what tonight is. Let's put
Can
it
I-
that way. We're not
can
gonna
I-
meet until November, then I'm gonna assume we're gonna need more time, or we're gonna have to meet twice in November.
Right.
The other option
Well-
is to meet in October.
I
Exactly.
think
And I
that's
was
why
gonna
we wanted
say,
to go to monthlies, so that we kept them to like an hour or 2 hours each month instead of 4 hours every 2 months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Uh,
that's,
I like the once a month, and when we vote, I'm actually going to vote not to go to every other month. I like the idea of shorter monthly meetings. It keeps us more nimble, and it keeps the meetings shorter.
Mhm.
This is hilarious. So does that mean we just nixate our amendment?
We haven't brought it to a vote yet.
It wasn't
This
voted
is
on yet.
true, But
Right.
okay, but we did vote to make the amendment, so I don't know where that puts us. We
Right.
just cancel it?
We could cancel, you could withdraw, the maker of the motion could withdraw it, so we just stick to the monthly meeting.
Okay,
Okay, so the maker of the motion has withdrawn it? Am I correct there? Okay.
No.
then- Huh?
No, I say we call the vote, and we can defeat the amendment and go back to what it's already been agreed to.
Okay, all right. Okay.
that too.
Okay,
And I might also suggest a different point of order for Zoom. Like there's a yes and a no option in your participants tab that you can vote on instead of waiting for the microphone to become hot on your screen.
I agree. Just voting yes and no on a roll vote like this is very easy. And when somebody calls it to a vote, I'm going to do that.
Hmm. Okay, so, now where are we?
So did Todd call that to a vote? Is
Yeah,
that what you said, Todd?
yeah, he called it to a
Yep,
vote.
it was I have the motion in the second, so it's ready for a vote if we're done with
Okay, all right, so we'll vote
discussion. If
on
we're done with
that.
discussion.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Or you can vote in the participants. Too.
Okay,
Or click on the yes button in the participant window. And then you'll have a roll call vote. You're getting the yes and no's right there. Do you see it, Alex? Right next to chat window is a little participant.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
click on that.
In chat, do I need to open that one to?
Yeah, click on the participant window. It's right next to the.
Oh,
chat window.
gotcha. Yeah, that's right. I forgot all
And
about
there,
it.
yeah, you see the reds and the greens there. So
Right.
the reds are no's and the greens are yeses.
Okay,
And several people haven't voted yet.
right. That's it. All right.
I think I'll need to record a number, so we might need to have everybody vote. Looks like Alex doesn't vote, and I don't have one from Brenda. Maybe.
Brenda, do you know how to vote with your?
yeah, I know how to do it, but I'm kind of like, I think I'm gonna
Understand.
just sustain. Because I'm torn between yes and no.
I
I
guess
agree
we-
right now we need to meet every month, but
Mhm.
I also like the idea of the every other month.
Yeah.
Decisions.
Yeah, you're right. It makes it hard to abstain that way. I guess you'd put up the raise hand in there or go faster.
Right.
Something that makes us stop waiting for you.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's why I always complain with the reaction buttons. I wish you had a thumbs down and a sideways, right? Because you could use
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah,
more.
sideways would work. I think anything like a raise hand or a go slower or go faster, doesn't matter. Anything that's not red or green will be an abstain.
There we
Right.
go.
Okay.
All right, there you have it.
Oh, she talked to the hand.
Talk to the hand.
All right.
Amy
We
doesn't
can
get it.
always make this temporary and come back to it
Yeah,
after we get
yeah.
through.
Every
Right.
month we can say, let's meet 2 months from now, but yeah.
There actually is a thumbs down. If you click on more, it has the thumbs up, thumbs down, clap, the coffee for need a break and away. So there you go. There's,
There you go.
except for there's no sideways.
Right.
Yeah, and it doesn't show up in this video. I like the ones where you can hit it and you can, you see it in the screen because it's just visually boom. But yes,
Right. Well, we're all
they're going to figure all that out.
Zoom challenged to some degree, even though some days I have 3 Zoom meetings, but they don't get this complex. Okay. All right. So you got the Megan, you got recorded that now? Okay.
Yes. So motion failed is what I recorded. I mean, I got the numbers too, but.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I think the next thing is our next meeting then. So the date that we have it, what day do we have that? Third Thursday?
Correct. So that would be the 15th of October.
Okay. So our next meeting will be October the 15th then.
Yep. And it is on the calendar.
Works
Oh,
for
wait,
me.
is it on the calendar? No, it's not on the calendar, but it will be.
Okay.
What's the conference date? Do you remember?
What was that, Todd?
Do you remember what conference dates are? Parent teacher
Oh,
conference?
gosh.
22nd.
22nd. Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because I'm
Next week
trying to
after.
find out what y'all are planning on doing for conferences, if it's going to be Zoom or not, whether I need to take the day off. But I assume since we're not back in the school building, it's going to be via Zoom.
Yeah. Okay, so although we don't have it on the agenda, is there any other business that should come before the body? If not, then do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make
I'll
a
make the
motion, we
motion.
adjourn.
We got a motion on the floor. We got a second. I saw the hands come up. Okay, motion and second on it. Any further discussion on the adjournment motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye,
Aye.
and oppose nay. Okay, so we are officially adjourned, and now we can later individually take a look at how we should best utilize the features of Zoom.
All right.
All
You guys
right.
take care. Good seeing you.
Yeah,
Take care,
good seeing
everyone.
you then.
Good night.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Bye.
Thank
Brenda.
you.
Bye now.
Brenda, are you going to be at your office tomorrow?
Yes, I will.
Okay, I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, Boy Scouting stuff. I got something I bring up.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
actually, hey, Alex, just so you
Uh-huh.
know, I'm actually there 10 hours. So I'll be in by the latest 8 and there
Oh,
till 5 or later. So anytime during that time you want to call me, go for it.
okay. All right, I'll do that.
All right,
All right, thanks a lot now.
take care. Bye-bye.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Good night, everyone.